Mother's voice rings out, clear and brittle, announcing my engagement to Senator Bradley's vapid son, Arthur Jr. We stand on the terrace of the Blackwood estate, the annual charity gala swirling around us in a haze of expensive perfume and political maneuvering. Father beams beside her, the picture of paternal pride, having finally brokered the alliance he craved. Arthur Jr.'s fingers tighten around my wrist, sharp and possessive, when I hesitate to raise my champagne flute in acknowledgement. A silent command. Play along. My sister Vanessa leans close, her breath cold against my ear. "Don't ruin this again, Eliza," she hisses, the name a deliberate sting. "Remember what happened last time." Oh, I remember. My eyes scan the uniformed event staff near the French doors, and there he is. Marco. Older, lines etched around his eyes that weren't there before, but unmistakably him. Our gazes meet for a fleeting, charged second before he looks away, resuming his duties. 5 years ago, they disowned me, destroyed me for loving that man, the maintenance supervisor they deemed unworthy of the Blackwood name. Now, reborn as Elizabeth Cole, I clutch the slim leather-bound volume hidden in my evening bag, the Blackwood family ledger. Its weight is ballast against the tide of their hypocrisy. This time, I know exactly who they are, and they have no idea who stands beside them. 5 years ago feels like another lifetime. I met Marco Diaz not at a society ball, but in the gleaming, sterile corridors of Blackwood Tower. He wasn't an executive or a client. He was the new maintenance supervisor, recently promoted. There was a quiet dignity about him, a kindness that radiated outwards. He treated the cleaning staff with the same respect he showed the vice presidents. He read poetry, knew art history, had dreams far bigger than the service tunnels beneath the city. We fell into conversation easily. Late nights when I worked late, early mornings when he started his shifts. Books, ambitions, laughter shared in secret corners. It blossomed into love, fierce and true. Naively, I thought my family, beneath the polished veneer, valued substance. I decided to introduce him at Sunday dinner. The reaction was volcanic. Father's face purpled with rage. A janitor? In my house? Mother dissolved into strategically deployed tears about family reputation and what people will say. Vanessa, ever the dutiful daughter, revealed she'd hired a private investigator weeks ago, presenting photos of Marco and me holding hands in the park like damning evidence. Even Cassandra, my best friend who'd listened for hours about my feelings for Marco, publicly tutted about my reckless choices, siding instantly with my parents. Richard Harrington, Dad's perpetually smiling business partner, pulled Marco aside later, offering him a thick envelope of cash to disappear quietly. The family meeting felt like an inquisition. The ultimatum was stark. End it with Marco or be cut off. No inheritance, no trust fund, no family connection. I chose Marco. I chose love. Their retaliation was swift and brutal. Marco was fired, then blacklisted. Every job application mysteriously rejected. My bank accounts were frozen overnight. We struggled, patching together rent, selling belongings. Then came the accident. Marco was hit by a car, a hit and run, witnesses unclear, police report vague. He was hospitalized, seriously injured. Desperate, I crawled back to my family, begging for help with the mounting medical bills. They agreed, but with conditions colder than charity. Complete separation from Marco. Signed legal documents relinquishing any claim on the family. A public statement drafted by their lawyers denouncing Marco and admitting my poor judgment. Heartbroken, desperate to save him, I agreed. But when I went to the hospital to explain, Marco was gone. Discharged against medical advice, leaving no forwarding address, vanished. Father announced I was going on an extended mental health retreat to recover from the ordeal. The reality was a private institution, remote and heavily guarded, where I was kept sedated, isolated. Weeks later, scrolling through a smuggled newspaper, I saw the small article. Eliza Blackwood, troubled heiress, had tragically taken her own life. They hadn't just disowned me, they'd erased me. Waking up felt like surfacing from a deep, dark ocean. The lights were harsh, the smell antiseptic. Not the plush prison of the institution, but a bare-bones county hospital ward. I'd been found unconscious in a nearby town, no ID, assumed to be homeless. A nurse, Maria, saw something in my drugged haze track marks from forced injections, the vacant stare of overmedication. She recognized the signs of illegal detention, of abuse masked as care. Maria wasn't just a nurse, she was part of an underground network, quiet heroes helping people escape dangerous situations. She helped me disappear for real. I became Elizabeth Cole, Maria's fictitious distant cousin from out of state. The following years were a blur of rebuilding, shedding the effects of the drugs, reclaiming my mind. Community college, then university night classes, finance, accounting, corporate law. Physical transformation, cutting my hair, changing its color, voice coaching to alter my cadence, laser treatments for a small identifying scar. Survival mode. I worked my way up, temp jobs leading to a position at a mid-level investment firm. A firm that, I discovered with a jolt, handled several subsidiary accounts for Blackwood Industries. Late nights, ostensibly catching up on work, granted me access. And there it was, tucked away in a digital archive mislabeled historical estates, scans of the old Blackwood family ledger. Generations of secrets, backroom deals, bribes, affairs, and, crucially, notations hinting at illegitimate children woven into the pristine family tree. Then fate, or perhaps irony, intervened. Taking a course at the university, I saw him across the campus quad. Marco, working grounds maintenance. The physical scars from the accident were visible, a slight limp, a faded line near his temple. He looked wary, self-contained. We met, seemingly by chance. He didn't recognize me. We talked cautiously at first. He spoke of betrayal, of believing the woman he loved had chosen family and money over him, abandoning him in the hospital. The pain was raw, buried deep. I resisted the urge to reveal myself, the risk too great. Not yet. My path became clear. Use my financial acumen, my new identity, infiltrate their world. I cultivated a professional relationship with Richard Harrington's son, James, a junior executive at another firm we sometimes dealt with. Used his ego, his attraction to the mysterious Elizabeth Cole, to gain social access. An invitation to the Blackwood Charity Gala as James Harrington's guest. Asterisk, seeing my own portrait hanging in the hall of departed family members was a gut punch. Eliza Blackwood, 1995 to 2020. A life stolen, memorialized with lies. The night before the gala, I dyed my hair back to its original shade of dark chestnut. A final, quiet declaration. As Elizabeth Cole, I stepped back into my former home, into the viper's nest. And nobody even blinked. They glide through the gala, oblivious. My family, the architects of my destruction. Father, Charles Blackwood, banking titan, celebrated philanthropist. Privately, a ruthless autocrat obsessed with legacy and control. I remember him crushing a rival's career over a perceived slight, then donating generously to that same rival's favorite charity a month later. Calculated cruelty masked by magnanimity. His charm is a veneer over ice. Mother, Victoria Blackwood, the social queen, orchestrating appearances with iron-fisted grace. Her life is a performance, fueled by discreetly prescribed sedatives. Her tears are weapons, deployed strategically to manipulate father, punish Vanessa, or shame me into compliance. Behind the perfect smile, there's an abyss of quiet desperation. Vanessa, my sister, married off to a man who cheats openly but controls the purse strings, she channels her bitterness into policing family rules, desperate for father's approval. She was always the one reporting my minor infractions, positioning herself as the loyal daughter. Cassandra Reynolds, once my best friend, now a viper in designer clothing. She leveraged our friendship for social access, then discarded me when I fell from grace. Now she's the Blackwood family's PR consultant, building her career by managing the narrative of my tragic instability. Her warmth is a tactic, gathering vulnerabilities while offering sympathetic murmurs. Richard Harrington, father's oldest friend and business partner, the fixer. He handles the dirty work, the problems that need to disappear discreetly. His son, James, now my unwitting escort, pursues me with the same entitled arrogance as his father. Dr. Alastair Finch, the new family physician who replaced dear old Dr. Miller shortly before my institutionalization. He prescribes whatever mother requests, asks no questions. Political connections run deep, burying inconvenient inquiries like the one into the journalist investigating my suicide, who suddenly dropped the story and moved abroad. They are a constellation of power, privilege, and poison, held together by secrets and the desperate need to maintain their flawless public facade. They reference poor Eliza occasionally, a cautionary tale whispered at brunches. The irony that Eliza, now Elizabeth, sits amongst them, observing, calculating, ledger close at hand, is lost on them entirely. My access as Elizabeth Cole, financial advisor dating James Harrington, yields immediate chilling dividends. Hidden behind a partition during a pre-gala meeting, I overhear Father and Richard discussing a hostile takeover strategy for a mid-sized facilities management company. Marco's current employer. Their conversation is cold, clinical. And during the restructuring, Father says smoothly, we can ensure certain redundancies are prioritized. Diaz, wasn't it? The one from before? Richard nods. Consider him handled. They plan to destroy his livelihood. Again. Over dinner, James casually boasts about his father's influence. Some reporter got too curious about the Eliza situation a few years back. He chuckles. Dad made one call. Guy lost his job, his apartment. Think he works at a car wash in Nevada now. He says it with pride. Mother invites me for tea. You remind me so much of my dear Eliza, she says, her eyes sharp, probing. Such a troubled soul. She asks subtle questions about my family, my upbringing, testing the flimsy backstory Maria and I created for Elizabeth Cole. At a smaller family gathering, Vanessa, several glasses of wine deep, corners me. Believing she's speaking to a sympathetic stranger, she confesses lingering doubts about my suicide. It never felt right, she slurs, and things went missing from her room afterwards. Letters, diaries. Dad said he cleared it out, but Cassandra presents her latest PR campaign proposal to the family, a nauseatingly sentimental series celebrating the Blackwoods' resilience in the face of tragedy. My tragedy. My supposed instability is the cornerstone of their heroic narrative. Then, the scrutiny intensifies. James mentions offhandedly that Father's security team is running a background check on Elizabeth Cole. Standard procedure, he assures me. But I notice the guards watching me more closely at events. Father delivers a veiled warning during a business lunch about loyalty tests for new associates, pressing me for confidential information about my firm's other clients. Richard suggests a private weekend at his lake house, ostensibly to discuss investments, his gaze lingering uncomfortably. Just the two of us, he adds with a sly smile. Really get to know each other. James becomes more possessive, questioning my calls, showing up unannounced at my apartment. Marco calls, his voice tight. Someone matching Richard's description has been asking questions about him at work, mentioning his connection to the Blackwood family. After a tense family dinner, I find it a tiny listening device tucked into the lining of my purse. Later that night, James, looking through some financial projections I drafted, frowns. Funny, he murmurs, your handwriting. It looks so familiar, reminds me of someone. Panic, cold and sharp, grips me. They are closing in. The pressure cooker environment necessitates accelerating my plan. Each move must be precise, untraceable. An anonymous digital package, heavily encrypted, lands in the inbox of the lead investigator at the SEC's Enforcement Division, detailing suspicious transaction patterns linked to Blackwood shell corporations. Another message using secure protocols reaches the exiled journalist in Nevada, offering a verifiable document trail confirming his original suspicions about my suicide. Through my firm, I execute a series of complex, seemingly unrelated trades that shore up the financial position of Marco's employer, making the hostile takeover significantly more difficult and costly for Blackwood Industries. Bait withdrawn. During brief, unsupervised moments at the estate, a feigned trip to the powder room, fetching a forgotten file. I use miniaturized scanning devices to copy key sections of the original ledger hidden in Father's private study safe, a combination I retrieved using James's carelessly stored password manager. I meet with a trusted lawyer, unaffiliated with my firm or the Blackwoods, setting up a secure digital document cache with explicit instructions. Release contents to designated authorities and media outlets upon my confirmed disappearance or incapacitation. Insurance. Senator Bradley's ambitious young aide clearly resents Arthur Jr. and the forced alliances. A few shared frustrations, hints of alternative political opportunities, and he becomes a willing, unwitting conduit for information. My jewelry isn't just decorative. Earrings double as high-fidelity recorders, capturing incriminating conversations during family dinners and closed-door meetings. A new offshore account is established under yet another shell company, designed solely to trace the flow of illicit funds. I anticipate they'll move under pressure. Seeds of discord, carefully planted. A sympathetic murmur to Mother about Vanessa's husband's rumored infidelity, hitting her known insecurities. A casual remark to Vanessa about Cassandra seeming perhaps too close to Father lately. A carefully worded question to Cassandra, implying Richard has expressed doubts about her loyalty. I meet Maria, the nurse who saved me, in a bustling public park. We review contingency plans, escape routes, emergency contacts. Through an anonymous online forum for victims of powerful families, I connect with others who have tangled with the Blackwoods and lost, gathering corroborating stories. During a moment James believes is intimate, I install sophisticated tracking software onto his phone. While reviewing property documents at the office, I gather evidence of Father bribing local officials regarding zoning variances for Blackwood developments. Small, untraceable sums are anonymously transferred from minor Blackwood accounts to the campaign funds of their political opponents, including Senator Bradley's primary rival. A strategic investment is made in a media company known for aggressive investigative journalism. A digital backup of the ledger sections detailing the Blackwoods' illegitimate lineage is secured in multiple encrypted locations. Each move is a quiet click of the lock, tightening the net. I maintain the facade of the diligent advisor, the accommodating girlfriend, while my secret calendar marks the timed release of revelations designed for maximum impact. The first tremor hits via a leak to a respected financial newswire. Federal probe launched into Blackwood Holdings. Father calls an emergency board meeting. Attendees later whisper about his uncharacteristic public nervousness. Mother's exclusive charity luncheon is crashed by reporters shouting questions about financial crimes. She retreats, shaken. The news triggers collateral damage. Vanessa's estranged husband, seeing the writing on the wall, abruptly files for separation, citing irreconcilable differences and hinting at financial impropriety. Cassandra scrambles, issuing denials, attempting damage control, but her efforts are immediately contradicted by leaked documents, carefully released from my cache, showing her direct involvement in hiding suspicious transactions. Richard Harrington issues a terse public statement expressing full cooperation while privately demanding an urgent family meeting, his voice tight with panic on intercepted calls. James confronts me directly. "Elizabeth, what do you know about this? Are you involved?" His suspicion is palpable. Senator Bradley, spooked by the scandal, publicly announces he is reconsidering the political alliance and postpones the official engagement announcement indefinitely. Donors to the Blackwood Charitable Foundation demand full transparency and audits. Long-term business partners begin quietly divesting from joint ventures. The carefully cultivated image cracks. Father and Richard appear together at a brief, disastrous press conference, the tension between them visible. Mother reportedly increases her sedative dosage, her social calendar suddenly empty. Vanessa makes frantic calls to the family lawyer, desperate to shield her personal assets. Cassandra, realizing her PR career is imploding, starts shopping competing offers to tabloids for an exclusive inside story. Security around the Blackwood estate noticeably increases. In a surprising twist, Marco is offered a significant promotion and raise at his company. The restructuring, influenced by my financial maneuvers, inadvertently benefited him as the firm stabilized. The narrative splinters. Intercepted communications show family members blaming each other, scrambling for scapegoats. Father is seen making a late-night visit to the family mausoleum on the estate grounds, a known repository for sensitive documents, and perhaps more. Mother has a tearful, recorded breakdown during a call with Dr. Finch, alluding to things buried deep, secrets that can never surface. Their collective panic explodes when Richard discovers the original ledger is missing from the hidden safe in Father's study. Simultaneously, they realize Elizabeth Cole has missed scheduled meetings, her phone going straight to voicemail. She has vanished. The final destabilizing blow? Identical anonymous couriers arrive at the separate locations where father, mother, Vanessa, Richard, James, and Cassandra are holed up. Each receives a single photocopied page from the missing Blackwood ledger. Each receives a different page, one hinting at financial fraud, another at a past cover-up, another at an illegitimate birth. Confusion, paranoia, and accusation escalate. They turn on each other with renewed ferocity. After 3 days of calculated silence, I resurface. I call James, my voice trembling, explaining I had a sudden family emergency out of state, completely disconnected. His relief is immense, but the suspicion underneath is sharper now. Father insists I move into the main estate immediately. "For your safety, Elizabeth," he says, his eyes cold. "With these investigations, who knows what desperate people might do?" The guest suite prepared for me is luxurious, but my practiced eye spots the telltale signs. The slightly off-angle smoke detector, the 2 new digital clock radio. Surveillance. James proposes, abruptly, awkwardly. "Elizabeth, we should get married. Now. As my wife, you'll have the full protection of my family." A desperate bid for control, cloaked in chivalry. Mother arranges a meeting with the family genealogist, ostensibly to trace the Cole lineage, but really to probe my fabricated background under expert scrutiny. Vanessa accidentally finds an old, informal snapshot of Eliza me tucked in a book. She holds it out. "Doesn't she look a little like you around the eyes?" she asks casually, watching my reaction like a hawk. She peppers conversations with questions about my supposed childhood, searching for slips. Cassandra, meanwhile, ramps up her investigation into Elizabeth Cole's university records, while simultaneously showering me with invitations and feigned friendship, fishing for information. Richard advises me to transfer my personal investment portfolio into protected Blackwood family accounts, citing the ongoing financial instability. "Loyalty is paramount in times of crisis, Elizabeth," he states pointedly during a tense dinner. Dr. Finch recommends a complete physical, including comprehensive DNA testing for genetic screening purposes. "Just to be thorough, my dear," he says smoothly. The surveillance becomes overt. Security personnel follow me openly on the estate grounds. I discover a microcamera hidden behind books on my bedroom bookshelf, aimed directly at my desk and laptop. I overhear Father instructing his head of security to get a copy of everything on Miss Cole's computer. James confronts me about seeing me talking to Marco near the university campus weeks ago, claiming he just happened to be driving by. A lie. They've connected me to Marco. My personal items show subtle signs of searching. Drawers slightly ajar, toiletries rearranged. One night, needing to retrieve backup files from an off-site location, I find my suite door inexplicably locked from the outside. Vanessa, drunk and belligerent after another fight with her estranged husband, corners me by the pool. "Don't think we don't know your trouble," she snarls. "Cross this family and you might end up having another tragic accident and die just like Eliza supposedly did." Mother, hysterical after another anonymous ledger page appears on her breakfast tray, accuses me directly. "It's you! You're doing this!" It culminates in a formal family meeting. Father lays out printouts. Phone records showing calls between my burner phone and Marco's number. Blurry photos of us meeting discreetly. "We know you're in contact with the janitor," Father states flatly. The ultimatum is delivered again, but harsher this time. "Complete, demonstrable loyalty to this family and our interests, or you will face consequences far worse than dismissal." Then, the collective reveal, designed to break me. "We know you're not Elizabeth Cole," Father says, his voice dripping with menace. "We know you were sent here." He pauses for effect. "Tell us who you work for. Which competitor sent a corporate spy?" The relief is dizzying, almost making me laugh. They know I'm not Elizabeth, but they still haven't realized I'm Eliza. They think I'm just another pawn in their business wars. Their arrogance is, as always, their greatest vulnerability. Time for Act 2 of my performance. I dissolve into tears, real ones this time, fueled by the sheer audacity of their blindness, mixed with calculated fear. My confession tumbles out. Yes, I work for Vanguard Consolidated, a major Blackwood competitor. I was planted to gather intel. I'm terrified. Please don't hurt me. I appear utterly broken under father's looming presence and veiled threats. I grasp James's hand, accepting his protection with desperate gratitude. I sign the draconian loyalty agreements and NDAs their lawyer produces. I grant them access to the carefully prepared, largely fictitious financial accounts and history of Elizabeth Cole. I seem to betray Marco, providing names of his workplace contacts, all low-level employees already planning to leave, painting him as disgruntled and unreliable. I publicly accept Mother's cloying attentions and her offered cups of calming tea, dumping the contents into planters later. I allow Dr. Finch's physical exam but use a prearranged sleight of hand to substitute the blood sample with one provided by Maria from a vetted, healthy donor. I submit to Vanessa's watchful companionship with docile compliance. I feed Cassandra misleading information about Vanguard's supposed weaknesses, making her believe she's gaining valuable corporate espionage secrets. I gratefully accept Richard's offer to protect my finances, allowing him to transfer the limited funds from my Elizabeth Cole accounts into a Blackwood-controlled holding company. I perform the role of a terrified corporate spy, caught and desperate for mercy, grateful to be kept close and monitored rather than eliminated. My questions about the ongoing federal investigation sound naive, easily deflected. In family strategy sessions, I appear easily manipulated, offering suggestions that subtly benefit their rivals while seeming plausible. Their confidence swells. They see me as a tool, successfully neutralized and now potentially useful. Their security protocols around me relax slightly. My calculated verbal stumbles under questioning, my apparent willingness to sell out my fictitious former employer, it all feeds their narrative. Father pats my shoulder approvingly when I offer a piece of false competitor intel. They diagnose me with Stockholm Syndrome. And crucially, believing I am an outsider, they speak freely in my presence. They discuss Eliza, her weaknesses, her foolishness, the necessity of what they did, without a shred of awareness that she is sitting right there, listening, recording, cataloging every damning word. The satisfaction is glacial, sharp, and utterly consuming. They think they've won. Again. Their arrogance provides the perfect cover. While playing the compliant spy, I execute the endgame. The shopping trip with Vanessa becomes the staging ground. In the chaotic dressing room of a high-end department store, I complete the final major evidence handoff to Agent Miller, my federal handler, posing as a store manager. My inside ally. Father's own head of security, a man named Peters who discovered my true identity independently but despises the Blackwoods for reasons of his own, ensures our brief meeting goes unnoticed. Peters later discreetly places a copy of the most damning evidence summary directly into Senator Bradley's secure briefcase during a supposed security sweep. The trusted maid, Elena, who has worked for the family for years and witnessed countless cruelties, swaps Mother's sedatives with identical-looking placebos provided by Maria's network. Elena continues collecting recordings via devices hidden in cleaning supplies. Marco, having passed the background check, his minor record related to the hit and run, now expunged thanks to federal intervention, starts his new job on the Blackwood Estate maintenance staff. Our communication is brief, coded, facilitated through Elena or via dead drops near the service entrances. His access provides crucial intel on hidden wiring, security blind spots, and the location of the mausoleum's sensitive contents. Using the brief moments of unsupervised computer access they now carelessly allow, I execute encrypted data transfers, uploading the final pieces of the ledger and recorded confessions to the secure federal servers. The virus planted on James's phone has spread, creating backdoors into the entire family network monitored by Miller's team. Timed email releases set weeks ago begin activating. Key documents land anonymously in the inboxes of investigative journalists at the media outlets I invested in. Richard Harrington's executive assistant, emboldened by the unfolding scandal and armed with evidence of his chronic harassment, which I helped her document, provides federal investigators with full access to his confidential client communications, implicating numerous other powerful figures. In strategy meetings, I carefully guide conversations, prompting Father, Richard, and the others to reveal details of additional crimes. Past cover-ups, tax evasion schemes, judicial tampering, all meticulously recorded. More ledger pages are strategically leaked, each designed to implicate a different family member in a specific historical crime, fracturing their remaining trust. Mother's medication diary, kept by Elena documenting the placebo switch and Mother's undrugged moments of lucidity and incriminating remarks, is delivered to the State Medical Ethics Board investigating Dr. Finch. Father's hidden offshore account details go directly to the IRS Criminal Investigation Division. Vanessa's estranged husband receives irrefutable proof of her active participation in the family's financial crimes, strengthening his position in the divorce settlement. I watch them reveal their darkest secrets, utterly convinced I am their contained pawn. Their panic grows as longtime allies suddenly go silent, severing ties. The final, comprehensive evidence packet, including my verified identity as Eliza Blackwood and corroborating testimony from Marco, Elena, Peters, and other victims, is delivered to the lead prosecutor. Unbeknownst to the Blackwoods, their private security team has been quietly infiltrated and, in some cases, replaced by undercover federal agents over the past 48 hours. The timing for the final act is set. Dawn breaks not with birdsong, but with the coordinated slam of tactical teams. Federal agents swarm the Blackwood estate, simultaneous raids hitting Richard's penthouse, Cassandra's office, and Dr. Finch's clinic. Father, intercepted on his way to his helicopter pad, stares in stunned disbelief as agents snap handcuffs onto wrists accustomed to bespoke cufflinks. Mother attempts a dramatic collapse, but the attending paramedics, already briefed by federal agents, administer only basic checks, no sedatives. Vanessa tries frantically calling her husband, her lawyer, anyone. Her calls meet automated number disconnected messages or go straight to voicemail. James is apprehended separately in his suite, looking bewildered. Cassandra is arrested mid-call with a tabloid editor trying to sell her final, desperate version of the story. Richard Harrington is taken into custody at a private airfield, attempting to board his jet with hastily packed bags. The family lawyer arrives at the estate, blustering about rights, only to be presented with a warrant for his own arrest, obstruction of justice, conspiracy. Senator Bradley holds an immediate press conference, vehemently denouncing the Blackwood family, severing all ties, and withdrawing Arthur Jr. from public life indefinitely. News helicopters circle overhead. Live coverage shows the gates of the legendary Blackwood estate breached, familiar society faces looking gray and defeated as they are led away in handcuffs. Father's composure finally cracks when the lead agent presents him with the complete evidence portfolio, including the authenticated ledger and his own recorded confessions. Mother, denied her usual chemical buffer, begins experiencing visible withdrawal symptoms during processing. Vanessa gives a tearful statement to the cameras, attempting to cast herself as yet another victim of her parents' schemes. James's lawyer releases a statement painting him as an unwitting dupe, tragically misled. Cassandra's carefully crafted narrative unravels instantly under the weight of released evidence. The media digs deeper, connecting the dots, uncovering whispers of past suspicious deaths linked to Blackwood rivals or inconvenient associates. Marco watches the news unfold from a secure location provided by the Witness Protection Program, a slow, grim satisfaction dawning on his face. The Blackwood financial empire implodes. Investors flee. The family's social circle evaporates overnight. Former friends issue statements denying any close association. Charity boards demand the return of donations. The investigation widens, ensnaring political figures and judges implicated by the evidence. Public speculation runs rampant about the source, the mysterious figure who orchestrated the takedown. The shock intensifies when initial reports mention the investigation involves evidence provided by Eliza Blackwood, the heiress presumed dead for 5 years. My final scene in this act. I walk calmly, head held high, through the doors of the federal courthouse, the original Blackwood ledger tucked securely in my briefcase. Not as a victim, not as a ghost, but as Eliza Blackwood, ready to give her official statement. The federal interview room is bland, institutional. Agent Miller sits across from me, along with the lead prosecutor. They lay out the bigger picture, filling in gaps I hadn't known. Your reported suicide always felt wrong, Eliza, Miller says. We kept the file open, quietly. The underground network, Maria, they weren't just activists, they were loosely connected to a federal witness protection program monitoring powerful, corrupt families. Maria, the nurse, was an undercover agent assigned after a pattern of suspicious deaths at that private institution emerged. We suspected the Blackwoods were involved in high-level financial crimes for years, the prosecutor adds, but lacked concrete proof to pierce their defenses. We had surveillance in place long before you stumbled upon that ledger. When my inquiries about Blackwood accounts surfaced through my investment firm job, they realized who I might be. When I later approached them indirectly, through the exiled journalist, offering evidence, they faced a decision. We chose to let you run your play, Miller admits. Your access, your drive, it achieved more, faster, than we likely could have through standard channels. We provided oversight, resources, and ensured your contingencies were solid. They reveal I wasn't the only one the Blackwoods tried to eliminate. The investigation uncovered other accidents, disappearances, forced institutionalizations connected to individuals who threatened the family's secrets or financial interests over the decades. The ledger wasn't just about finances. It documented a multi-generational pattern of ruthlessness. Other survivors living under new identities had also provided fragmented testimony over the years. My evidence, particularly the ledger, became the keystone locking their stories together. They have the secret recording from the institution showing the psychiatrist coaching me, manipulating me into signing documents, falsifying my suicidal ideation. That psychiatrist is now cooperating fully. They have medical proof of the drugging. The biggest personal revelation, Marco. Investigators contacted him shortly after his accident, suspecting foul play linked to the Blackwoods. He'd been providing them with information gathered during his various maintenance jobs, observations, overheard conversations, suspicious activities for years. Our parallel efforts, his and mine, were unknowingly part of the same larger investigation, sometimes loosely coordinated by Miller's team. I wasn't entirely alone in my fight, nor was he. The final staggering truth comes from the ledger's oldest pages, authenticated by historians and confirmed by DNA evidence retrieved from the mausoleum. The revered Blackwood lineage, the foundation of their social standing, is a complete fabrication. The original Blackwood patriarch wasn't the heir. He was Stablehand, who seduced the daughter of the house, murdered the actual young heir, married the distraught daughter, claimed the fortune, and fabricated aristocratic credentials. The entire family legacy, the obsession with bloodline and status they killed to protect, was built on a century-old lie and a forgotten murder. The federal press conference detailing the charges against the Blackwood dynasty sends shockwaves globally. My identity as Eliza Blackwood, survivor and key witness, is confirmed. The tragic suicide narrative collapses spectacularly. Financial markets react violently to the scale and duration of the fraud. The prosecutor lays out the case, emphasizing the systematic, multi-generational nature of the Blackwood criminal enterprise. Former associates, facing scrutiny themselves, rush to cooperate, offering evidence against the family in exchange for potential leniency. Lawsuits pile up. From cheated business partners, defrauded investors, victims of related crimes, unexpected allies emerge, former employees fired for asking questions, society figures ostracized by Victoria, politicians targeted by Charles. Henderson Corp undergoes complete restructuring. Court-appointed overseers remove all family influence. A class action lawsuit is filed on behalf of all victims. A compensation fund is established. Marco, recognized for his long-term cooperation and victim status, is appointed to its advisory board. My legal identity and financial rights as Eliza Blackwood are fully restored by court order. The Blackwood legal team fragments under the avalanche of evidence. Bail is denied for all core family members due to flight risk and documented history of witness intimidation. The spectacle of this untouchable family facing real consequences captivates the public. My testimony, corroborated by the ledger, recordings, and other witnesses, becomes central to the prosecution. Excerpts from my original diary, documenting my initial relationship with Marco and the family's reaction, are published with court permission, providing poignant human context to the cold legal facts. Public sympathy and support pour in. The network of corruption the Blackwoods cultivated begins to unravel. Investigations widen, ensnaring implicated politicians, judges, and business leaders. The ledger, once a hidden family secret, is now Exhibit A, its contents dissected in court transcripts and news reports. Speaking my truth in depositions after years of enforced silence and hidden identity feels profoundly liberating. When pressed for interviews, I authorize my lawyer to issue a single statement. The evidence presented in court speaks for itself. Miss Blackwood will make no further comment at this time. The power shift is absolute. The trials are staggered, the sentencing's grimly satisfying. I attend Father's. He meets my gaze across the courtroom, the first flicker of genuine recognition I've seen. In his final statement, he makes a desperate, pathetic appeal for my forgiveness, hoping to sway the judge. It fails. His eyes remain cold, calculating, even as the lengthy sentence is read. Mother's separate trial details her complicity, using social events for influence peddling, managing cover-ups, facilitating payments. Her visible sedative withdrawal in court underscores the testimony about Dr. Finch's role. She receives a sentence reflecting her active participation. Vanessa pleads guilty as part of a deal requiring extensive testimony against her parents and ex-husband. Her bitterness is palpable as she details decades of enforced loyalty that was never reciprocated. Her sentence is reduced but substantial. James, unable to maintain the facade of an unwitting dupe, is convicted on multiple counts related to financial crimes and conspiracy. Cassandra is professionally ruined. The PR licensing board revokes her credentials. Civil suits bankrupt her. Her attempts to sell a sanitized version of events are met with derision. Richard Harrington receives a lengthy sentence, his cooperation leading to investigations into several other wealthy families whose illicit finances he managed. Dr. Finch loses his medical license and faces significant jail time. The investigation reveals a pattern of manipulating vulnerable patients for powerful clients. Watching the methodical process of the justice system, seeing the tangible consequences finally manifest, brings a sense of profound, if weary, validation. The trauma I endured, the crimes committed against me and Marco and countless others, are finally acknowledged, documented, punished. The collective nature of their downfall mirrors the collective nature of their criminality. After the final sentencing, a court officer approaches me. He hands me the original Blackwood family ledger, now tagged as Court Evidence #001. The prosecution has concluded its use of this item, Miss Blackwood, he says formally. Taking back the heavy, leather-bound book that started it all feels like the final, symbolic closure. The State Historical Society formally requests the Blackwood ledger for their archives, recognizing its significance. Their research, combined with the DNA evidence, confirms the story hidden in its earliest pages. The esteemed Blackwood founder was indeed an imposter. Stablehand Thaddeus Grimm, who murdered the young Lord Blackwood, married his sister, stole the title and lands, and invented a noble lineage. The irony is staggering. The family that disowned me, destroyed Marco, and killed others to protect their precious bloodline and social standing was itself the ultimate fraud. Academic papers are published. Genealogists trace the actual Blackwood line extinct and the Grimm line, descended from provincial household staff. The ancestral portraits are revealed to be commissioned fakes. The family crest, a marketing invention. A university establishes an ethics in wealth management program using the Blackwood case files, including the ledger as a central case study. Psychological profiles analyze the family's pathologies. Father's obsessive drive stemming from subconscious knowledge of the fraud. Mother's brittle performance compensating for insecurity. Then comes the final perfect twist. Independent genealogical research, spurred by the case, traces Marco Diaz's family history. His ancestors, who emigrated generations ago, were minor Spanish nobility who relinquished their titles. Marco, the humble janitor deemed unfit for a Blackwood, possessed a genuine, albeit dormant, aristocratic lineage they could only fabricate. We share a moment of dark, incredulous laughter when the report arrives. The universe has a savage sense of humor. The realization is profoundly liberating. The entire value system I was raised in, the social hierarchy that condemned me, was built on sand, lies, and blood. I make arrangements to donate the ill-gotten Blackwood properties, the estate, the tower penthouse, the lake house, to foundations serving victims of crime and abuse. Let the spaces of their power serve those they harmed. I open the ledger one last time. On the final blank page, I carefully document the verified truth of the Blackwood origins, citing the historical and DNA evidence. My own final entry, ensuring the lie dies forever, In the aftermath, as the years tick by in prison sentences and civil suits, the predictable overtures begin. A letter from father arrives via his lawyer, filled with self-pitying justifications, blaming Richard the pressures of business, claiming errors in judgment driven by love for his family. He offers to reveal incriminating information on former associates, framing it as an act of reconciliation. Mother, transferred to a secure medical facility within the prison system, manages a tearful video call. She paints herself as father's victim, coerced, medicated into complicity. She appeals for funds for an appeal based on diminished capacity, playing on residual daughterly guilt. Vanessa writes pleading letters, invoking shared blood, childhood memories, framing herself as trapped. She asked me to provide a character statement to support her parole hearing years down the line. Included are photos of us as teenagers, laughing. James's legal team sends settlement offers for the civil claims against him. He includes a separate, handwritten note suggesting his feelings for Elizabeth were real, blaming circumstances. The offer is contingent on a statement minimizing his role. He hints at possessing shared memories that could be privately embarrassing if revealed. Cassandra, attempting yet another public image rehabilitation, grants an interview professing profound remorse. Her new agent pitches a co-authored book proposal. Surviving the Blackwoods, A Journey to Forgiveness. She establishes another foundation in my name, this one focused on media ethics. Richard Harrington, hoping to leverage his remaining knowledge, offers information about other powerful families engaged in similar criminal activities, implying his value hasn't entirely disappeared. The disgraced family lawyer suggests dropping remaining civil claims would be financially prudent, warning that protracted battles could deplete the recovered assets. Old family friends cautiously resurface with tentative invitations. Business acquaintances subtly suggest the benefits of moving on. The pressure mounts, subtle and overt, to perform the expected role, the forgiving survivor, offering redemption, completing the inspirational narrative they still don't understand. They want Eliza to forgive. But Eliza is gone. Mara Elizabeth holds the line. My response remains unwavering, delivered through official channels. No. One word, unadorned, final. Father's letters are returned unopened. Mother's calls go unanswered. She remains on my permanent no-contact list. Vanessa's pleas meet silence. James's settlement offers are rejected. His veiled threats are met with legal notifications regarding witness intimidation statutes. Cassandra's book proposals are declined. Her foundations are served with cease and desist orders regarding the use of my name. Richard's offers of information are forwarded directly to the relevant prosecutors without comment. The liberation deepens with each refusal. I decline to participate in their dramas to validate their manipulative narratives. My only public statement remains the original one. Justice doesn't require ongoing relationship. I refuse the societal script of compulsory forgiveness. The boundary is absolute, zero contact. Former friends and associates receive polite but firm declinations. Communication attempts are blocked or returned. Their shock, filtering back through lawyers, is profound. Emotional leverage, their lifelong currency, has no purchase here. The diary and ledger excerpts were published as court records, not for personal profit. I continue to refuse all offers to capitalize on the trauma. No documentaries, no feature films, no paid interviews. Peace settles where the need for their validation or remorse used to churn. True power is the quiet certainty of choosing my own narrative, my own future, completely disentangled from theirs. Closure is internal. It doesn't require their participation. They no longer exist in my present tense, I tell Agent Miller during a follow-up meeting. It's the simplest way to explain it. The last batch of parole hearing notices and clemency requests arrives years later. I shred them without opening the envelopes. The refusal is no longer an act of defiance. It's simply a reflection of reality. They are irrelevant. The freedom in that detachment is complete. Morning. The sun glints off the ocean outside the house I designed. Glass, reclaimed wood, open to the sea air. My coffee steams. The waves provide a constant, soothing rhythm. Daily meditation grounds me, no longer a defense mechanism against anxiety, but a practice of presence. My hair remains its natural chestnut. My face is unlined by the tension I carried for years. My current journal lies open. 2 years of complete freedom. The entry begins. Feels like the real rebirth. The foundation I established operates discreetly, effectively, providing legal aid, temporary housing, and therapeutic resources for victims of the kind of insidious abuse I survived, the kind often hidden behind wealth and power. Marco's environmental research facility, funded partially by foundation grants and his own successful patents, thrives on the hillside across the bay. Our relationship, rebuilt cautiously on a foundation of shared history and hard-won trust, is a quiet partnership. Separate homes, connected by a winding coastal path. Healthy boundaries, deep affection. My privacy is fiercely guarded by loyal staff and robust legal structures. I engage in occasional consulting work with financial crimes units and speak at select law enforcement training programs, sharing insights on recognizing coercive control and sophisticated fraud. Helping others navigate the darkness I escaped provides a sense of purpose. Letters arrive sometimes from survivors helped by the foundation, small affirmations that ripple outwards. Joy manifests in simple things: the brine tang on the air, the challenge of a complex financial puzzle solved for ethical ends, the easy laughter shared with Marco or my small circle of trusted friends. Friends valued for their integrity, not their connections. I travel, exploring cultures and landscapes the Blackwoods would have scorned. Martial arts training, begun years ago for self-defense, is now a discipline that brings physical confidence and mental clarity. My library overflows with books chosen solely for interest, not obligation. Mentions of the Blackwoods in financial news asset forfeitures, denied appeals, barely register. They occupy vanishingly small space in my thoughts. One clear night, watching meteor showers from the deck hammock, tracing constellations I couldn't see under the glare of the city lights where I grew up, I have a final thought. Some prisons have walls, others have family trees. I finally escaped mine. The transformation of the former Blackwood estate into the Center for Historical Truth and Ethical Leadership is complete. Instead of a monument to fraudulent power, it's now a public resource. Exhibits meticulously document the Blackwood saga as a case study in generational corruption and the abuse of wealth. An annual symposium brings together historians, ethicists, legal scholars, and law enforcement to discuss prevention. Marco's firm redesigned the grounds, replacing manicured formality with sustainable native plantings and ecological research plots. Poetic justice. The looted art collection was painstakingly researched. Pieces were returned to descendants of original owners or donated to museums with corrected provenance. The remaining items are displayed within the center, illustrating the narrative of acquisition and exploitation. The garden labyrinths where I hid as a child are now public meditation spaces. The center offers training programs and workshops, focusing on identifying financial crime, coercive control, and ethical governance. A research fellowship fosters new scholarship. A quiet memorial garden honors the known and unknown victims of the Blackwood Grimm dynasty over the centuries. I visit rarely, overseeing the foundation's work from a distance. My focus is on building systems for prevention, not dwelling on the past. The legal reforms spurred by the case are the lasting legacy. Nearby, properties once owned by the family now serve as transitional housing for survivors escaping abusive situations. My own life remains centered here, in my simple beach house, grounded by the ocean, the garden Marco and I tend, the morning swims that feel like blessings. My body is strong, my mind clear. If recognized, usually when the case is cited as a catalyst for legal or corporate governance changes, I politely decline personal questions, redirecting focus to the systemic issues. Peaceful anonymity is my chosen state. Watching the sunset paint the waves, my journal open, I write. A gentle smile comes easily now. Today I realized, the entry begins. I've gone a whole month without thinking of them at all. The pen moves across the page, steady and sure. I belong completely to myself now.